March 8, 2024, 4:47 a.m. Eastern Pacific Ocean. $8.2 billion. Gone. A U.S. Navy destroyer just crushed the largest cocaine empire in cartel history. 72 hours, 6 ghost submarines, 47 tons of pure cocaine. This is the operation the cartels never saw coming. Navy warfare breaks it down. The call. It started with a tip. DEA intelligence picked up chatter. Something big was moving. The Sinaloa cartel was running a new route. Not boats, not planes, submarines, homemade, invisible to most radar, carrying enough product to flood American streets for months. The mission? Find them, stop them, destroy the network. U.S. Navy deployed immediately. The destroyer USS Michael Mansour, 2 Coast Guard cutters, USCGC Stratton and USCGC Bertholf, air support from P-8 Poseidon surveillance aircraft. This was a full-spectrum operation. The target zone? 1,200 nautical miles of open ocean off Colombia and Ecuador, international waters, cartel territory. The clock started ticking. The hunt. Day 1, 6 a.m. P-8 Poseidon aircraft swept the area. Advanced maritime patrol technology, magnetic anomaly detectors, infrared cameras, synthetic aperture radar, looking for something that doesn't want to be found. Most drug subs run semi-submersible, only the cockpit above water, painted blue-gray to blend with ocean waves, nearly impossible to spot visually. But Navy warfare knows the U.S. Navy doesn't hunt with eyes alone. The Poseidon detected thermal signatures, tiny heat blooms from diesel engines, 6 distinct contacts, all moving north toward Central America, spaced 40 miles apart, coordinated convoy. The cartel was moving their entire supply chain at once. USS Michael Mansour received coordinates. The destroyer changed course, 30 knots, racing to intercept before the subs reached coastal waters where they could scatter and disappear. Coast Guard cutters moved to flanking positions. The trap was forming. 250 pirates, 1 tanker, 3:30 a.m. Comment if you'd survive this operation. First contact. Day 1, 2:30 p.m. USCGC Stratton made visual contact. Submarine number 1, 60 feet long, custom-built fiberglass hull, riding low in the water, cockpit barely visible above the waves. The boarding team launched. Rigid hull inflatable boat. 7 Coast Guard members, armed, trained, moving fast. The submarine's crew saw them coming. They gunned the engine. Black smoke poured from the exhaust. The sub tried to run. It couldn't. The Coast Guard pulled alongside. Boarding hook deployed. 2 guardsmen jumped onto the wet hull. Slippery, dangerous, waves crashing over them. They pounded on the hatch. U.S. Coast Guard, surface now. 10 seconds passed, 20, 30. The hatch cracked open. 3 men emerged, hands up, soaked, defeated. Inside, 8 tons of cocaine, bricks wrapped in waterproof packages. Street value, $1.1 billion. 1 down, 5 to go. The net tightens. Day 2, 3:15 a.m. USS Michael Mansour intercepted submarine 2 and 3 simultaneously. Both tried to dive. Standard cartel tactic when cornered. Flood the cargo hold, sink the evidence, swim away. The Navy wasn't having it. Small boats deployed. Crew members fired warning shots across the bows. Surface or we will disable your vessel. Both submarines surfaced, no choice. Boarding teams swept in. Synchronized assault. Military precision. Submarine 2, 9 tons of cocaine, 4 crew members arrested. Submarine 3, 7.5 tons, 3 crew members. 1 tried to destroy communications equipment before surrendering. Too late. The Navy already had everything they needed. Running total, 24.5 tons seized, 3.4 billion off the streets. Navy warfare sources confirm the operation was textbook execution. But the real drama? Still ahead. Who wins this war? A. U.S. Navy. B. Cartels. C. Coast Guard? Comment below. The chase. Day 2, 11:40 a.m. Submarine 4 went dark, completely disappeared from radar. No heat signature, no visual. Gone. The cartel crew killed their engine, drifting, hoping to be invisible. The Poseidon circled overhead, scanning, searching, nothing. Then the analyst noticed something. A slight magnetic distortion, barely measurable. The submarine's steel reinforcements were creating a tiny anomaly in Earth's magnetic field. They had it. USCGC Bertholf moved in. Quiet approach. No sirens, no lights. The cutter came within 200 yards before the submarine crew realized they were caught. They tried to restart the engine. It wouldn't turn over. Dead battery from sitting idle too long. The Coast Guard boarding team arrived to find 4 panicked smugglers trying desperately to hand-crank their diesel engine to life. Pathetic. Inside, 6 tons of cocaine, $840 million. The cartel's last stand. Day 3, 1:20 a.m. Submarines 5 and 6 were still out there. Intelligence suggested they were traveling together now. Safety in numbers. U.S. Navy changed tactics. Instead of chasing, they set up a choke point, analyzed ocean currents, predicted routes, positioned vessels in a net formation. Then they waited. Wait for what happened next. It shocked Pentagon officials. 4:47 a.m. Both submarines appeared on radar, exactly where the Navy predicted, moving at 6 knots, trying to stay quiet. USS Michael Mansour and both Coast Guard cutters converged. Triangle formation, escape routes cut off. The submarines saw them, too late. Submarine 5 surfaced immediately. Crew surrendered without resistance. 8 tons of cocaine seized, $1.1 billion. Submarine 6? Different story. The commander's decision. Submarine 6 tried to dive. Full emergency dive. The crew opened seacocks to flood ballast tanks. The vessel started sinking fast. Standard procedure. Let it go. The evidence is destroyed, but nobody dies. The destroyer's commander made a different call. Navy divers were in the water in 90 seconds. Full dive gear, underwater cutting torches, racing against time. The submarine was 40 feet down when divers reached it, still sinking. The crew inside was trying to escape through the top hatch. Here's what made it insane. The cargo hold was flooding, but the cocaine bricks were sealed in watertight containers. If the submarine reached the bottom, the current could scatter those packages across miles of ocean floor, recoverable by cartel divers later. The Navy wasn't letting that happen. Divers attached lift bags to the submarine's hull, pumped them full of air. The sub stopped sinking, started rising. 12 minutes later, it broke the surface. Coast Guard hauled it alongside their cutter, opened the hold. 8.5 tons of cocaine, completely intact, $1.2 billion. 3 crew members arrested, soaked, shaking, lucky to be alive. The aftermath. Final count, 6 submarines captured, 47 tons of cocaine seized. Total street value, $8.2 billion. 15 cartel operators arrested, all facing federal trafficking charges. Life sentences likely. But Navy warfare knows the real victory goes deeper. Intelligence recovered from the submarines revealed the entire supply network. Cartel communication codes, supplier contacts in Colombia, distribution cells in Mexico and Central America, financial accounts. The DEA is using that intelligence right now, rolling up the network, dozens of arrests across 3 countries. This wasn't just a drug bust. This was strategic dismantlement. Pentagon officials confirmed this was the largest coordinated maritime drug interdiction in U.S. history. The operation involved 12 vessels, 8 aircraft, and over 300 personnel across Navy, Coast Guard, and DEA. Justified or overkill? Comment J or O. The cartel response. Sources inside Mexican law enforcement report the Sinaloa cartel is in chaos. They invested over $15 million building those submarines. Years of planning. Their entire quarterly supply, gone in 72 hours. Cartel leadership is scrambling. Some members are going underground. Others are being executed for the failure. The message from the US is clear. Innovate all you want. Build submarines. Use technology. It doesn't matter. We will find you. We will stop you. We will destroy your operation. Navy warfare sources indicate the cartels are already trying new methods. Drone deliveries, tunnel systems. But after this operation, their confidence is shattered. The strategic impact. This operation proves something critical. U.S. naval superiority extends beyond traditional warfare. Drug interdiction requires the same skills that win wars: intelligence gathering, surveillance, coordinated strike operations, boarding actions under hostile conditions. The U.S. Navy excels at all of it. Consider the technology involved. P-8 Poseidon aircraft can track multiple targets across thousands of square miles simultaneously. Destroyers like USS Michael Mansour carry some of the most advanced radar systems on Earth. Coast Guard cutters are specifically designed for maritime law enforcement in rough seas. The cartels had homemade submarines, impressive for criminals, pathetic against military-grade assets. This is what $800 billion in annual defense spending looks like in action. Overwhelming technological advantage, superior training, unmatched coordination. The operation also sends a message to other criminal organizations worldwide: Nigerian pirates, South American smugglers, Asian trafficking rings. The U.S. can project power anywhere. International waters aren't safe havens. They're hunting grounds. What this means for America: 47 tons of cocaine. If that had reached American streets, the damage would have been catastrophic. Thousands of overdoses, tens of thousands of new addicts, communities destroyed, families torn apart. The Coast Guard estimates this seizure prevented approximately 470 million individual doses from entering the United States. At $100 per gram street price, that's $47 billion in potential cartel revenue. Money that won't fund gang wars, won't corrupt officials, won't destroy lives. The human cost of the drug trade is incalculable. Every ton of cocaine represents years of addiction, crime, and death. This operation saved lives, American lives, at scale. Navy warfare recognizes this wasn't just military success, it was a moral victory. The crew. Let's talk about the people who made this happen. The destroyer crew who tracked targets for 72 hours straight. The Coast Guard boarding teams who jumped onto moving submarines in open ocean. The Navy divers who descended 40 feet to save evidence and potentially save lives. These aren't video game heroes. They're professionals executing dangerous missions in hostile environments. The boarding operations alone were incredibly risky, jumping from a small boat onto a wet, moving submarine hull in rough seas. One slip means drowning or getting crushed between vessels. The training required for that level of precision takes years. The pilots flying surveillance missions logged 40+ hours of flight time, staring at screens, tracking tiny heat signatures. One moment of lost concentration could have meant losing a target. The intelligence analysts processed thousands of data points: radio intercepts, satellite imagery, weather patterns, ocean currents, building the picture that made interception possible. Every person involved performed flawlessly. 0 casualties, 0 lost targets, 6 for 6. That's excellence. The future of drug interdiction. This operation sets a new standard. The cartels will adapt. They always do. But they now know the U.S. has the capability to detect and destroy submarine networks at scale. Military analysts predict we'll see changes in cartel tactics, possibly smaller, more frequent shipments, increased use of aerial drones, more sophisticated submarine designs with better stealth capabilities. But here's the reality. The U.S. Navy and Coast Guard are always evolving too. New sensors, better AI-driven analysis, improved international cooperation with partner nations. The technological arms race favors America, always has, always will. This operation also strengthens relationships with Colombian and Ecuadorian authorities. Intelligence sharing improved, coordination tightened. Future operations will be even more effective. Navy warfare sources indicate additional operations are already in planning stages. The hunt continues. The bottom line. March 8, 2024 will be remembered as the day the U.S. Navy broke the cartel submarine network. $8.2 billion in cocaine seized, 47 tons off the streets, an entire supply chain destroyed. This proves naval power isn't just about aircraft carriers and destroyers facing down hostile nations. It's about projecting force wherever American interests are threatened. Drug trafficking threatens American communities. Therefore, it's a national security issue. The Navy responded accordingly. The Sinaloa cartel learned a hard lesson. You can't outrun American technology. You can't hide from American surveillance. You can't escape American justice. Drop your prediction. Will the cartels try submarine smuggling again? Navy warfare wants to know. The operation also demonstrates something broader. American military capability isn't just about firepower. It's about intelligence, coordination, execution, the ability to deploy complex operations across vast distances with multiple agencies working in perfect synchronization. That's what makes the U.S. military the most effective fighting force in history. This wasn't war, but it was warfare. Economic warfare against criminal organizations that threaten American security. And the U.S. Navy just won decisively. The next time you hear about drug submarines, remember this operation. Remember what happened when the cartels went up against American naval power. Remember who won. Navy warfare will keep tracking these operations. Keep breaking the stories the world needs to hear. Because real conflicts have real consequences, and real coverage means showing what American forces do to protect their nation. Subscribe to Navy Warfare, where military operations become breaking news, where real conflicts meet real coverage. The war on drugs continues. The cartels will try again. They always do. But after March 8, 2024, they know what's waiting for them in those waters. The United States Navy. And it doesn't lose.